a photo opportunity with both head coaches in the Leishman Trophy. So we'll go ahead and get started with the opening statements. We'll start with Coach Cristobal. Coach, how has your week been going so far?
Well, again, thank you to everybody involved with the Rose Bowl and the committee, because such a welcoming feeling, incredible hospitality. Our players have had an amazing experience, and so have the families or whatnot, while at the same time being able, you guys provided us with incredible facilities to be able to work and stay focused on the game. So just very highly anticipated for everyone, and again, just very thankful, very grateful, and looking forward to a great game tomorrow.
Thank you, Coach Cristobal. Coach Chryst, same question. How's it going so far?
Well, it's been going great, actually, and appreciate, like Mario was saying, that so much is done by the bowl and all the people, the hotel, the facilities. I mean, you truly do feel welcome, and it is great to have the opportunity, especially for this team, this group of players, to be able to participate in a game such as the Rose Bowl. And I've appreciated how they've approached it from the day we found out through finals and preparation in Madison, and then coming out here. And the best is yet to come, and that's the opportunity to play in this game against a really talented, well-coached football team in Oregon. And so it's a great experience, and very grateful.
Thank you, Coach. We will go ahead and open it up for questions. We have mic runners on both sides of the room, so please raise your hand and they can find you. As a reminder, please state your name and affiliation before you ask your question. On the left.
James Creppy of the Oregonian. Mario, I realize the expectation is that Micah would play. Do you have officially, will he play tomorrow?
Micah Pittman will be playing. He's been practicing with us, and we always mentioned that there was a good chance he would. He has been cleared, and we're excited to have him back.
On the far right.
Ryan Thorburn with the Register Guard. Mario, back in the day, obviously you played in the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, and recently coached with Alabama in the national championship. Can you draw on that experience to get the guys ready for a stage like this, an environment like this, or is it something you guys just got to go out and experience together and see how you react?
Well, I think it ties in more to the preparation of playing an excellent football team that's not only extremely talented, but the way they play the game, as physical as they are, as well coached as they are. All the focus has to be on ourselves getting better, but also understanding the caliber of opponent we're playing against. So, but at the same time, I think everyone really appreciates and has a good understanding of what an honor it is to be here, to having earned the opportunity to be here, and not for a second taking it for granted. I think you saw that from our players yesterday in the presser. They really they feel it, but at the same time, they know that all focus has to be on the game itself.
All right, we'll go on the left side.
AJ Jacobson with Rivals.com. Coach Cristobal, how do you balance with all the events and things going on for the team during the week? How do you balance keeping focused on the task at hand in terms of the game?
Well, I don't know. Is there balance in college football? I don't think there's such a thing and that exists. The balance. I think you're looking at a couple of programs that they understand this is a business trip. That the newness and all the festivities and everything going on. Again, the pageantry is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. But it's not for the players. It's not part of their process. They understand that. We schedule. We're pretty regimented as to the hours that we keep, what we do, and how we do things. And we put a lot in the leadership council as well. I mean, I think in games like this, I don't think anyone remembers how many times you bowled a strike over at Lucky Strike, or they remember how you played the game, the way you played the game. So it's been evidently clear in the way we presented this opportunity. So we expect our players to do and play their very best.
In the back on the riser in the middle.
Mario back here, Warren Williamson, Oregon Duck Football News. Just curious what your final preparations will be after today. You'll lock down the hotel, lock down the players. What will happen, say, beginning from noon until tomorrow's kickoff?
Just like any road game, it will not be any different at all. The only difference is that you have more players traveling, so you just make sure that there isn't any extra fluff to the preparation or any type of distraction, but it's typical road game lockdown mentality.
We'll go to the back right.
All right, Mario, Andrew Lee, Duck TV Sports. So over 30 players on your roster played high school football within 70 miles of the stadium. How do you think playing in this game affects recruiting?
We've always made Southern Cal a priority for us. For us, this is home state. That's what it is. We've made it a priority. We think that the coaching here, the high school football here is off the charts, as good as it gets in the country. They are coached well. They're part of disciplined programs. They play high caliber football, high caliber athletes, and big guys as well. So every opportunity that you have to show that, you know, you can earn the opportunity to be in a big game like the Rose Bowl, I think it certainly helps recruiting. I'm happy for them that their families and friends and their coaches could come out and see them practice and see them playing a game or whatnot.
All right, we'll stay in the back here towards the middle.
Andrew Hobner with KZI TV. Mario, on that note, just what is the reaction that you've gotten from some of these SoCal players that have been able to see their families and kind of come home during this holiday and experience all of this, you know, with their families at home?
It was good early. You know, we had that break, but we got here on Christmas Day, and went right to a quick lift and a run to get ready, get our bodies back into it. But it's more, the message has been, it's great, and we're happy that you get to see your families. But that, again, that feeling, that newness, that was for our first day here. You know, maybe a little bit of the second day here. The rest has been making sure that, as it relates to all of us, every coach, every player, you got to put aside family and friends and realize what you have to do. You have to be mentally and physically ready. You have to be at your very best. And the best way to put it is, nothing but being at your very best is going to be anywhere good enough when playing a team like the University of Wisconsin.
We're going to go on the right here in the second row.
Paul, Mark Wicker from the Orange County Register. You look on almost every NFL roster, including the Rams, and there's a Wisconsin offensive lineman on that roster, and there's such a tradition of that. How do you, in a short way, how do you develop that type of lineman over the course of his 4 or 5 years? And also, how happy are you to see two big physical teams playing in a game like this in an era when everybody talks about the spread and the passing game?
Yeah, it's, I think I've been fortunate, right, to be around a lot of really good offensive linemen. And I think the biggest thing is that, and you talked about it in the question, was development. Guys work and develop. You don't put on a uniform or a helmet and that makes you a great offensive lineman, right? And I think we've had a combination of really good players and really good coaches, and they work at it. And I do think it helps when younger kids in the program, at any position, when younger kids in the program see someone ahead of them that plays at a high level. And, I think it kind of sends a message that this is what needs to be done to be a really good player, and also that it's attainable. And I think when you look at it, we're not going to be the only good offensive lineman on that field, right? And what Oregon's done, and it's impressive. And yet I think that the original question, it's the people, right? It's the players and the coaches. But I do think there's something to be when you're in an environment and you see it's attainable, and you see what the work that needs to go in. And I think if you look around, that's probably true at all the positions where, I sure as heck hope that our young running backs learn from Jonathan. And I know that he's learned from others. And I think that's, for a coach, that's the neat thing about being in a college program, is you can see and be around the development of people and players.
We're going to go second row on the left here.
Ken Go with the Oregonian. Mario, second year in the program, Pac-12 championship, Rose Bowl. What does that say about the state of the program, and where do you see it going from here?
Well, it's progress. It's what we had hoped for. We always want to keep it on that kind of a trajectory. But I think it's a tribute, it's a testament to the players and the coaches to buying into a blueprint and a regimen that's very difficult and demanding, but can be rewarding. It gives you a great opportunity as long as you stick with it and do your very best. But we're so focused on this game because it's the most important game of the year, because it's the very next game, and we've become so process oriented that we'll assess that at the end of the season. But certainly proud of the way the guys are working, the fact that they're improving as students, they're putting an ungodly amount of hours in the community, and that we're progressing again as football players. We're getting better, but we do think sky's the limit. As long as we stick to our principles and values and stay humble and hungry and driven and realize that this is a tremendous privilege that can never be taken for granted. If we stick to that, we've got a chance to continue moving forward.
We're going to go to the back right.
Paul, the last time you guys played, and the same thing for Oregon, December 6th, December 7th, obviously the recovery is good, but is it tough to get the guys to lock in, especially with everything going on, with all the pageantry adds in as well, and how are you guys accomplishing that?
No, I don't think it's hard to lock in at all. And I think when you know that you get an opportunity to play in this game, and along with playing this game, you're going to be playing against a heck of a football team. And when you watch the film of Oregon, for our players, when you watch the film, you have to lock in, and you get to lock in. And so I think our players have done a good job of kind of balancing everything, right? I mean, through this bowl preparation, they've had final exams. They've had some time in Madison where there's nothing but the bowl preparation, and then like Oregon, we came out Christmas Day, and you've got a mix of everything here. But I've appreciated the way the guys have prepared, and you need to prepare, but it hasn't been hard. When you get to prepare for this game against a team like Oregon, that is, I'm not saying the game's going to be easy, but the preparation and the motivation, that's not a challenge.
We're going to go with the front row of the left side over here.
Brianne Maranthus, NBC Sports Northwest. Coach Cristobal, I was watching Troy Dye next to you at the team photo yesterday. He was so silly, having so much fun. And when I talked to him, he said he's having a lot of emotions right now in his last game. How much would it mean to send out this class of seniors with a win?
Well, I think the seniors know that, and we all know what they went through, right? Their first year here was a 4-8 season, and there's not a ton of them, right, that are left. It was a pretty big class, but I think it's a compliment to them how they've just decided to put their foot in the ground and work hard and be resilient through change and make adjustments and whatnot. And I think they also realize that the emotional stuff has to be put aside and has to be exchanged for passion. That the way they play the game is going to be the ultimate difference in how they feel about themselves and about the football team when the clock says 0. So but I love the fact that he is enjoying it, because again, these guys have been through a lot, and I think the fact that they have been through a lot makes their experience a lot more rewarding, a lot more of a learning experience, a lot more applicable to life later on, because it's just another example. If you just keep chopping wood, if you just keep pounding the rock, if you just stick to working at it, that there's a chance things will work out well for you. So really happy for them.
All right, we're going to go on the right side in the back row.
Matt Prehm, 24/7 Sports. Mario, how has the time off helped this team overall get healthy and just the legs back after a 13-game regular season?
I think we look good. I thought we played pretty well in the last game against Utah. And our strength condition department and sports science people, they do a great job. Half the staff, I don't understand, man. They come with these graphs and all this data with this, what is it, a GPS catapult, all that, and they try to explain it to me. And I'll figure it out one day. But the numbers point to us being in really good shape while maintaining a really high level of conditioning, so that, but we didn't, we kept the pads on now. I mean, football still is, right, a series of collisions and whatnot, and you have to stay physical. So I feel that we're where we need to be physically and ready for the game.
All right, on the far left.
Yes, Jason Vondersmith, Portland Tribune. Coach Chryst, as you well know in football, offensive balance is real important. You have this all-star running back Jonathan Taylor, pretty much a 100-yard rusher. Does your team, what's your thoughts on offensive balance going against Oregon? And if they slow down Taylor, how do you feel about achieving offensive balance to move the ball?
Well, I mean, you said at the end, the goal is to move the ball. And, I think any offense wants to be able to do that, a number of different ways. And we're going up against it's a heck of a defense, right? And nothing will be given to you. And, I think no matter what, you're going to need, what I like about football. And, if we're talking about offense, it takes 11 guys to be doing their part to give yourself a chance for success, right? And I think you're going to have to do it both ways. You're going to have to be able to run. You're going to have to be able to pass. That's the game, right? And so I think if you're going to have success, which is not easy, like I said, against a really good defense, it's going to take everyone doing their part and really everyone doing their part on all the plays. If you're going to run the ball, you need all 11. If you're going to throw the ball, you need all 11. But it's certainly love having JT and we think he's really good, and our opponents know that too. So they're going to do things to take that away. And so you have to be balanced.
All right, we'll go in the middle.
Colton Bartholomew, Wisconsin State Journal. Paul, have you talked to Jack Sanborn about his family connection with Oregon? If so, how do you think he's handled the emotions of getting ready for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's unique, right? And having talked, we've talked about it a number of times, not once we found out we're playing Oregon. I think it's special, right? And for his family, there's a unique tie to it. And yet, I think it's all about this moment, and they've done a good job. The family's out here and taking it all in, but it certainly is unique. And, I don't know that it tugs any more or less. You're talking about his dad and all he went through, and he was younger, but it certainly is, it's unique.
We'll go on the left side, about 4 rows back.
Brett McMurphy with Stadium Network. For both coaches, when the current playoff contract expires and they look at expansion, both you guys, if it was an 8-team field, probably would have been in this thing. I just wonder, when they do go to a new format, would you be for an 8-team playoff, or are you okay staying at 4?
You can go more.
Talk about for today or for the future? I'd like to see everything that goes with that. I think sometimes, I know that decisions are well thought out and whatnot, but you'd love to have obviously a 6-year cohort, right, and get all the data and see how it worked out and how it really, I guess, played out. But I think I wouldn't trade this experience for anything, so I want to make sure that part is clear. I think there's a lot of teams worthy of playing it out. I mean, we take pride in being such a competitive sport and determining who the winner is on the field. I think anytime you could include more, right, in that party, I think it's a good thing.
I think there's a lot that goes into it, and we're fortunate there's a ton of people that care about it, and so I'm going to let them figure it out. And like Mario said, I mean, this experience that our players get to be a part of, I think if you ask every one of the players, that this is very unique, and I know both teams we're grateful for it, but just tell us what the rules are, and we'll work and try to do all we can to be the best team we can be, and if we're in the right for whatever it is, you're grateful of that.
All right, in the camera on the right.
Julian Minnesota, KZI-TV. Mario, how important has Juwan been since being here in this whole process of being at the Rose Bowl, considering he has been here before?
Yeah, he's an older guy, isn't he, right? He's seen a few things. He's brought a lot to our football team. Whenever you take a grad transfer, you always want to find out pretty quickly is he going to embrace the culture, and is the culture going to embrace him? And mutually, that thing was very quick to happen. So he provides a lot of experience and leadership. The guy's, his heart is as big as it gets. He wants to do well for his teammates. He wants to do everything he can to help elevate the program. And, you know, he's become a favorite with the fans, certainly. So having him around, having him speak about his experience and what he has just gone through has been extremely valuable for our football team. It's been priceless.
All right, we'll go to this left side, second row.
James Crepy with the Oregonian. Mario, you've said a couple of times this season a phrase I wanted to get the origins of. You say, we play football at Oregon. We're going to play football. In numerous instances, you've talked about that. For you, it clearly is rooted in toughness and physicality. But it could have been something else. You could have been rooted in something else. So what are the origins of why playing football to you is what it is?
You're going to have to say that question all over again.
You've used the phrase playing football, that we play football at Oregon, that's what it means to you. And it's rooted in physicality, but it could have just as easily been something else. It could have been air raid or something else.
I understand.
So why does playing football to you mean what it clearly means?
I felt that football was always the best classroom and teacher that I ever had. I think the principles and values that come with it, the lessons learned and taught, both coach to player and the vice versa, I think are incredible. I mean, the values of being committed, of showing toughness. And toughness is, I think sometimes toughness gets thrown out there as a guy that can really hit hard or dominate a play. Toughness is being able to get up every single morning and getting to the facility early and rehabbing and getting taped and making it to your meals on time and getting in your playbook and showing up to practice with a great attitude. I think values and principles like that are part of what I mean by playing and being involved in football, because those principles and values carry over to life when you become a provider, when you become a future father and husband, all that other stuff. But, you know, I hope I answered that question. I try to answer as best I can. Look, football, my high school coach was the best coach I've ever been around. And there wasn't any compromising, doing things a certain way. And it's our job, it's our obligation to make sure in the short window we have with these guys to be able to do that. And through scheme, through meetings, through community service, through the classroom, through the actual playing field, you can do that. But it does involve grit and toughness and resiliency, right? And being able to just find a way to fight through adversity, understanding that you are going to get knocked on your behind. You are. When you play good teams, and it's going to happen more than once, and you just have to keep getting up just one more time than your opponent does. So I could go on that question. I know this is a short presser, so I think I'll cut it off right there, and hopefully I answered your question.
We'll go on the right in the second row.
For both Paul and Mario, you talked about the college football playoff and how encompassing it is for the fans and for us. And when you have a bump in the road during the season, and all of a sudden it doesn't look like it's likely to get in the playoff, how do you guys kind of get your players, you know, up off the floor and convince them there is something to play for, or are they more resilient than we are?
Well, I think that, you know, to me, you get an opportunity to play out a season, right? And it's no different than a game. You know, you'd love, when you play a game, you'd love for every drive defensively to stop the opponent and to score a touchdown every time offensively. And it doesn't go that way, right? And the season's the same way. You got, you know, we both to this point have played 13 games, right? We chance for 14th. It's depending on how the games go. That's life, you know. And I think everyone is so focused on winning and losing. And if you're a player, and if all you were worried about was winning and losing, that only happens at the end of the game. And yet, I think for a player, the best part is playing the game. So why would you miss the best part to get to the end? And I think a season's the same way. And do we want to? Every team wants to go undefeated. And you know what? There's teams that have, and hats off to those that do that. But enjoy the journey and appreciate the journey. And it's, I I think everyone else worries a lot more than we do because we know the reality of it. And everyone is focused on the end. And I think if you focus on the end, you're going to miss the best part, and that's the playing the game or playing out the season.
Amen. I mean, I agree completely. I mean, nowadays, it seems that every single game is a playoff game, right? As it relates to the college football playoffs or as it relates to your conference itself. So, and players are a lot more resilient than what we think. We always think, man, these guys are going to be down. What? No, they're a lot smarter. They're a lot more resilient and a lot tougher than what we think. So, again, wouldn't trade anything as it relates to the season for where we are today.
All right, we'll have time for 2 more. We'll start in the back on the riser.
Coach Chryst, for you, Warren Williamson, Oregon Duck Football News. I know comparisons are difficult to make between teams, but this week some of your guys, including Jonathan Taylor, talked about Oregon and their size and their speed, and he compared them to Ohio State. Is that a fair comparison? And maybe would you talk about that a little bit, and also your thoughts on facing Justin Herbert?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's, you know, when you see Oregon's defense, you know, you see a really talented defense and a team that a lot of different players make plays. You see, I think they do a great job, as good as any team we've seen as far as getting off of blocks and playing physical. And I think that's where, you know, I do see when JT is talking about that, you're talking about a high-level defense, right? And you know, every team's going to have differences as far as other, but when you just say, look at that, that's, I think, absolutely agree and see what he's seeing on that. And then, you know, obviously offensively, I mean, he's as good a quarterback as there's in the country, right? And I know there's a lot of really good quarterbacks. I'm not trying to make news that way, but he's talented, and I think he's got a great sense of what they're trying to do offensively. I think he seems to me like a guy that's going to do all he can to get everyone else involved, and certainly talented and presents a ton of challenges. But he's a heck of a quarterback, and I mean, they got a really good football team, you know, and it doesn't just happen, right? You got to have players, and they've got it, and they're extremely well coached. And the reason I say is they play with technique, and they play fast, and they play physical. They know what they're doing, and so it's a really good football team we get a chance to play against.
All right, last one on the far left.
Josh Sanders with the Rose Bowl. Coaches, this is for both of you guys right here. We talk a lot about the college football playoffs. That started in 2014. The Rose Bowl's been around. This is the 106th game. Why does this game so special?
Rock, paper, scissors. I mean, this game's it's special for a number of reasons. I mean, obviously, there is great tradition, and you know, I remember as a kid myself, and our players, you know, this is New Year's Day was watching the Rose Bowl, and I think everyone that was affiliated with football, there was a dream, a goal to participate in it. And, you know, we've been fortunate, and I've loved hearing our players talk about it, you know, that there have been teams before Wisconsin that have had the opportunity to play in this game. And certainly there's a ton of respect and admiration for those teams that have had a chance to play in it, and certainly those that have won it. But I think it truly is, it's an unbelievable venue. But I think it's more than that. It's just there aren't many places where I mean, it's the Rose Bowl. You know, when you say that to our players, I hear them talking about it's the Rose Bowl, and that kind of says enough.
And when you have a game that's known as a granddaddy of them all, kind of speaks for itself right there, right? And look, our players, our West Coast players, this has been their dream always, to be able not only to get here and play here and whatnot, but to have a chance to be successful on January 1st. And they can tell you about all the games in the past, the players that have shined in a big time way. They can tell you about the tough games, the close games. And, you know, they're learning about the pageantry that surrounds it and everything that's all the incredible events that go with it. But they have been watching this for a long, long time. And since they've been knee-high and playing Little League football, this has been the goal for them. And now it's a reality. So within our locker room, especially when those guys realized coming off the field in the game on December 6th that we were going to have the opportunity to be here. So it's an unbelievable moment for our football team.
All right, thanks, coaches. We'll now switch over and do the photo op with the trophy.